provide those in the chat window. I would like, I guess, to kind of make it interactive and answer questions as we go. I will try and keep my eyes on the chat window, but to get as many people in as we could today, we actually had Dave close his version just to let one more user in. So let's go ahead and get started. So introducing Civil 3D, just kind of a real quick introduction, a couple of PowerPoints to introduce the product for those that have never used it or maybe even thinking about going to it. And then we're going to open up the software and spend a lot of time kind of getting you started on the first introduction webcast here. So Autodesk Next Generation Civil Engineering Design Program. There's been a lot of effort and work from Autodesk going into this. For the users that go way back like myself, VersaCAD, AutoCAD 9, I got introduced to DCA, which was software for engineers and surveyors, especially software that did those type of functions. Once they changed their name to Sofdesk to kind of align with Autodesk, and then Autodesk actually bought Sofdesk, and they came up with a product called Land Desktop that most of us are familiar with. And inside Land Desktop, you have two modules, Civil, Design, and Survey, and you can switch back and forth. Civil 3D includes all of those modules into one, so you don't have to flip back and forth anymore. It also includes all of AutoCAD and AutoCAD Map for all your GIS functionality. Please let us know in the future if you would like information on Map 3D or GIS, when we could look at complimentary training for that as well. And believe it or not, Civil 3D has actually been out now for 9 versions. It's no longer a new product. It's been tested. It's been true. Some of you have probably been part of that. Others that are just getting in now, you've waited the right time. It's a complete package. Any company that I've provided training or assistance to on the implementation side since 2010, or Civil 3D version 2010, I've never seen them complain or go back to Land Desktop. They've all moved forward with the product, and ask now they've never went back to Land Desktop or even think about going back to a prior version. What I want you to kind of pay attention to as we go through here is the interaction between 2D and 3D. And now when I flip objects back and forth, that they can look different in plan view or in 3D view. The word 3D kind of scared a lot of people, but if you think about it, in Land Desktop and prior versions back to DCA, we've always worked in 3D. Your contours have elevations. We looked at tin, our surfaces, our points, everything elevations attached to them. So they just changed the name. It's still a lot of the same concepts that we've had in the past as well. Anything in the engineering world, if you think about it, changes are inevitable. They're always going to be there. And what this program is designed around is the dynamic what-if scenario. So we're going to be able to move the alignment, and the entire roadway automatically updates. So kind of keep that in mind as we go through this from the drafting and the design side, how everything's tied together and how it's all going to update. This is just kind of a quick recap there down the bottom to show how the software has progressed over the years. And of course, Land Desktop is no longer offered, and we're in Civil 3D 2012. So this is kind of how all the components work, and this is how when I go through the training and presentation here, I want to make sure that everybody kind of focuses on this and understands how this ties together. And I'll try and do a really good job of that as we get started when we start. The first part I want to introduce is any type of road design that we're going to get into later. You typically have a surface, you have your 2D road design, your alignment, then you're going to develop a profile and you're going to sample existing ground, you design the new road. Then you're going to have a typical section that you run along that road to create the model, the engineering model. Okay, we call that a corridor in Civil 3D, and that's going to be what you see in the center of the screen here. If you move the horizontal alignment or the vertical alignment, this automatically updates. Remember, this is tied to the existing ground through daylighting and slopes. You'll be able to see that. Also, your volume calculations, everything updates on the fly. As alignment up and down, look for all my labels and how they automatically update, which makes sure my design and my drafting is going to be synchronized. So whatever's on my plan that I see on my screen, I'm going to see that when it gets printed. If you think about how many hours have we spent going back and forth on that in the past. All of the cross sections, the data, everything's going to be automatically linked as well. And even the utilities, and remind me when we go over storm sewer, if I don't get there or don't show you, it is in 3D, and if you flip it up in 3D, it looks fine in 2D. When you flip it in 3D, you'll actually see, like you see in this picture, the manholes, the catch basins right underneath the surface, and you'll actually see any type of collision or clash detection. You can see where they interfere at that point. A couple other things if we run out of time I want to point out is the corridor design. You can actually add real-world materials. You can put these into all your default settings, and they're all going to stay in there. So keep an eye on that as well. As you can see there on the left, I also have the surface colored highest to lowest elevation. And in the bottom right, I just want to talk about, and again, hopefully we can get there. I plan to space out the timing. Everything should be good. Is all of your design labels, if you rotate the drawing 90 degrees, they automatically update and orient themselves correctly. If we change the drawing scale on a site design from 1 to 50, 1 to 100, they automatically scale all the labels as well. That's another reason in the newer versions of just AutoCAD, you have annotative scaling. Once you get the hang of it, everything automatically updates as well. And Civil 3D, every single style is built into that as well. So a couple other things, and what you're going to see is a little bit different from other software packages that you're used to. This doesn't come ready right out of the box. And we'll talk about that and how to get going with that in a little bit here. I think this was the last slide to kind of point you in that direction here before we go to the live training. But what we want to talk, so if a surface is an object, I just wanted to point out that you don't have to import 3D lines, you don't have to create contours. All the data is going to be there, and all we have to do is change what they call styles. The best way that I kind of relate in a simple situation to styles is Mr. Potato Head. It's one object, and you dress it up however you want to. So if you have one surface, that tin is created, and you can display it many different ways. The existing contour is already there. If you have proposed contours, they would be there. How often you show them? 1 in 5, 2 in 10, 5 in 25. Those are all styles that get created, and you modify to show the right colors, line types, and interval for those contours. Do I want watersheds? Do I want highest or lowest elevations? We had to know how to do that in all the other softwares. This one automatically updates. Watch when I edit a point for a surface, the surface automatically updates as we go through here. The other benefit of styles is it's going to maintain those drafting standards. You're going to have everybody be able to pick a style, and everybody has those contours looking the exact same way. You won't have renegade users. It's going to be standardized by that content. And you can have different templates for different divisions of the company if you wanted to mandate different things for different divisions or municipalities. The other part in here, in order to get the styles that you want, you're going to go through all of the settings, and you're going to define these settings to get the information that you want instantly, so you don't have to go through and like calculate all the different settings and different pull downs and make sure they're set every single time. They're all going to be default, and all you have to do is learn the software. What we're going to spend more time on is styles and settings in part 2. So keep in mind, a lot of things that you see, this is more of an introduction. The next one is going to be based solely on the settings and styles and getting you rolled out for that information. So here's what we're going to start out with in the live training. We're going to talk about templates. Most important thing to get your Autodesk Civil 3D product up and running. What's new in survey, right? Every product, for the most part, either starts with conceptual design or sending the survey crew to capture the information. We're going to bring points in. We're going to build a surface. We're going to throw in alignment. We're going to design a road. We're going to talk about assemblies. We're going to get some volumes. We're going to move it up and down, show you how dynamic everything is. We're going to switch over, bring in, design some utilities, place some storm sewer in there, show how everything's synchronized. If I change a manhole plan view and put a table for all my structures, it's going to automatically label that as well. And then we're going to jump in and take a look at design and drafting and show you how all those labels are synced. As we switch over to the product, I want to go ahead and just take one quick second to make sure that everybody can hear okay. Hopefully the echo is gone. And also feel free to type in a reminder into the chat window any questions you have, because we want it to be interactive. I might not jump back and forth on the questions immediately, but I don't want you to forget those questions. So if you type them in as we're going, I'll go back at the end. We'll take 15 minutes to question and answer. I'll also put my email address back up there, and you can provide questions about today's topic afterwards as well. I don't see anybody having any problems in the chat window, so I'm going to assume that everybody's good, no echo, and we can move on here. The first thing I wanted to point out is the dynamic model. In kind of the rest of the training, we're going to go through and show you how this is going to be helpful to everybody in the real world and in the engineering design field. this is kind of a big overview of everything that we're going to break down here. Over on the left, I simply have a structure that I zoomed in on with the rim elevation calculated from the existing ground. We have the station location and an existing invert. The bottom right is going to be your site design, where we already tied in the road design and we daylighted to the surface. And this is the profile where the storm sewer is already designed, and you can see using the rim elevation from the existing, the new road right here. Okay, so this blue line is the new road that's designed, and this at the bottom. And this is calculating the rim elevation from that new roadway design profile. So assuming the structure is right in the roadway, right on that center line. So as you go in here, and the biggest difference that you're also going to notice is when you select information here, you make changes, let's say to the vertical alignment. I don't have to go to 4 different dialog boxes. I can simply grab a grip, and I can drag that grip up. And as long as my DYN is on at the bottom, if you notice that's kind of highlighted down there like where your OSAS and OTRAC are, I simply hit Tab, and notice in that top viewport window how it changes from the station to the elevation, and I can simply type in a new elevation. So again, I don't have to know a lot about the program. I simply go in here, I drag and drop where I want, or I type in the exact elevation, and you'll see it automatically update. So what you see is kind of what you get. So I'm going to drag this up. As I drag this up, if you guys could look over on the left-hand side, the current rim elevation is 125. As I move that rim elevation, it's going to recalculate all of the road design, all of the storm sewer, and it's going to automatically update to the new rim elevation. And you can see over in the, we're looking at that rim elevation did update. If I moved it in plan view, then the station left or right and location would automatically update. So go ahead, if you want to watch that again real quick, I'm going to go ahead and select the grip, and I'm going to move this down again. So you're going to watch that update. Now, if you look at that number 128, watch the model down here at the bottom right. The entire roadway design engineering model is going to update as well. So if you watch real quick, you can kind of see that move. As that moves, then it updates over on the left-hand side. So again, one last time, and then we're going to move on. Just wanted to show you how everything is interactive to the engineering model and how it can update. Okay, so one of the valuable resources that Civil 3D has to offer also starts on the survey side. We're not going to elaborate on this a lot. And I guess a little bit before we do that, let's talk about the template and how everything's stored in that template. So the first thing, when you guys, if you start today after this presentation, open up Civil 3D. When you do that, right out of the box, you can either select New and then start the template. But if you go up here and click New, depending on your settings, it's going to allow you to select a default template. This is very important. You won't have all of the ones that I'm showing here because some of mine are custom. If you're doing imperial units, make sure you start with this one, at least to get you started, to even do a trial of the product or to do anything. This is the national CAD standard. I'm just going to go ahead and load this up just for a second. And what you'll notice when I start this is like your AutoCAD. It automatically has all of your layers in it. You have all the default layers built into the program for you. All the colors, line types, everything is a default. When you go to settings, you have drawing settings, and they already defaulted all the different units in here as well. Of course, these can all be changed or updated, but it's a place to start. Even the coordinate zone that you're receiving your survey from in the GPS would be located. The transformation settings, and what I really wanted to point out were the object settings. So every time I create an alignment, they all go to default settings already. Every object we create, surfaces, your point tables, your structures, your tin surface, you can see a variety. All the objects inside this drawing are based off of these. Anything we don't like, we can change and we can modify, but this is a place to start. If you just grab the AutoCAD template, then everything, there are no layers. The layers, the content, there's nothing built for you. It's almost like drawing AutoCAD with just layer 0. So to give yourself at least a project to start with, at least start with this template. Now, if you don't want those styles and you want to build your own, which everybody does, right? Everybody has what they want their drawings to look like. Then you're going to have to go ahead and design your own template. In order to do that, you could go in here to get started, and then I'd advise you to start with a template from scratch if you want to build all that. and that's called the ACAD template. Now that one's not going to have any layers, no line types, no blocks, and it's up to you to put all that content in there, or of course we provide that and we help you do that as well. In part 2, what we're going to do is use the National CAD Standard template, and I'm going to show you how to use all the styles that come with it. Not just the layers and the line types and the blocks, but under settings, every object that you work with, you have styles. So the National CAD Standards provide all these styles for you. Point styles are going to be every single block. If I want a manhole, if I want a catch basin, if I want just a station symbol, a tree symbol, all this content is built into that program for you in that template. But we want to make it what our company standards represent, so you want to kind of go in and customize all this. As you go through and you learn that you can customize labels, point styles, surfaces. Remember in the surfaces I said you could display a tin, catch, contours, your elevation banding, your watershed information. Those are styles that you want to display. Maybe I want to show the tin as border only. We get to go in there and we just set these criteria. Now the problem is if we go in and we use the one from National CAD Standards, you can see they already have layers connected to this, and if I go to the model space, it has layers, more layers. So in the part 2, I'm going to show you how to strip all these layers out, but start with all the standards information and build your content into that. So hopefully everybody kind of understands that every object has styles and content associated with it, and we're going to have settings so it knows which ones to use by default. And again, that's going to be part 2. So to get rolling with this, one of the things that I wanted to touch on was talking about the survey information. So in order to talk about the survey, I have to start a brand new drawing, and I'm going to use the template for my survey information. So I went ahead and did that, and I saved it as a survey training CWG. The first thing I want to point out in the survey side of things is there's a little wizard up here, and you can just import the survey data, and it's all going to go through its own workflow here. So I have a survey tab where I can have all the databases stored, and I can make it the engineering can't even access this information. These databases can be completely locked in here and inaccessible to everybody else. So to get started, I can go up to Import Survey Data, create the new survey database that I want to use just for survey, or at a later point we can let engineering use it if we want to. So I'm just going to go ahead and call this Sterling Survey. And what they've changed and kind of updated in the software as we progress through here, we used to only be able to use field books to do line work. Now you can actually take an ASCII file, so a PNEZD file, and if you did your line coding in a simple ASCII file, you no longer have to convert it to an Autodesk line work with field book. You simply go in here, tell it what you're looking for. So if you have a field book, it comes right in, no conversion process, land XML files, a point file. So I'm just going to go ahead and select an ASCII file that I want to bring in. Grab a little bit different one here real quick. All right. And again, you could select the field book. I think I have one for survey. If I put it under points real quick. Let me back up and grab that other one real quick then. It's on my desktop. There we go. So just to give you an idea, this is just a PN. It's just an ASCII file. They give you a little wizard to make sure to show you what it's going to look like as you bring it in, the different formats that would match. So PN, EBD, comma, delimited. But again, in this one, they actually went in and they developed code sets, and I'll show you in a little bit. We can define a network, so we can do day by day. We have to set up custom styles in order for this to come in correctly. And you'll notice when I go in and hit finish, it's going to process all the points in all the line work. So I know I can kind of hear, even though I haven't seen any questions pop up yet, well, Land Desktop did that. We could bring in a field book. Yeah, we had to convert it, but that's not really a big deal. So after I bring in this field book and I show you that it generates all the line work for you, we're going to point out the features that everybody's kind of wished for in the past that weren't there. So inside here, I have all the points that are available. You can see it automatically ran all the line work. It builds all the curve information in there for you. Okay, so this is a real-world example. But what I wanted to really point out is, one, it stores it on a nice database. It's easy to get to. I can look at all my figures that were written. I can look at survey points. I can even go to network. So if they did a portion of the job today, a portion of the job tomorrow. But if you go down here lower, you can set up line work code sets. So let me take a look at the one that I developed here. Automatically begin figure prefix match. So if they see begin CL or begin edge of pavement, whatever that code is, it knows to generate it. I can use begin codes like BEG or just B space. You can now have it before the description or after the description. You'll notice horizontal offsets and vertical offsets. So if I'm running one line of curb, it will automatically run the gutter, the top of curb, and back of curb for me. Some of my favorites are now when you run line work on curves, you can begin the curve. You can go shoot anything else that you want to, come back, take another shot on the curve, and you can have as many points as you want on the curve. Okay, before we had to use C3, and you had to only use those 3 points on the curve, or multi-curve start, and use all those points, and then multi-curve end. So now simply do BC, begin your curve, take as many shots anywhere you want, as long as you're still shooting edge of pavement 1 or that description doesn't change, it does the curve. You end the curve, and now if you're doing site design or parking lots, you might only need 1 shot on that curve. The radius isn't going to change, so as long as you have the tangents, you take a shot, use OC, pick that point, and it automatically does OC, connects it up. Kind of like AutoCAD fillet command. If I offset a line and I use AutoCAD radius, endpoint, or just select the 2, it automatically designs that radius. So that's another huge coding feature that will help you save time in the field. The other one that Civil 3D allows you to do, which I've heard over and over and over again request, is multiple coding. So we can do double codes. So I can take a sidewalk shot and say that that's an edge of pavement, or sidewalk and back a curb, maybe 2 center lines in a T. I can say center line 1, center line 2. They share the exact same point. I no longer have that discrepancy from one point and the second point, right? No point, it's always going to be exactly the same if I have to come back to that point. So you double code that point, and Civil 3D can handle all of that information now. So a couple of things on the survey side to get started. Check all of your settings. Make sure you're in the right units. Make sure you import everything through the survey data. And if you're doing line work coding, make sure you set up your line work code sets. Under the Settings tab, remember we have all sorts of styles that we can set up. If you go down to the very bottom, this is your survey. These are your figure styles. If I'm going to run a center line of a ditch or a building, I go in here and I simply create a style. If the surveyor types in this description, or maybe it's just BL, I want it to go to BLDG. I want it to be this color. I want it to be this line type. And it's going to run all of that for us. It's going to do the same thing every single time. So after you set up these styles, you save it as a template, and you can reuse it every single time. So every time I start a new drawing, I use this template. All of my points come in correctly. All of the line work come in correctly, and I know exactly what I'm going to get as my end result. I don't know how many surveyors we have out there. If anybody's here just for the survey portion, feel free to put that in the chat window. I'll try and go back to it, maybe spend a little bit more time just on that if you guys want to. For everybody else, if you don't speak up, we're going to move along a little bit towards engineering. And what I want to point out here is, again, I'm going to start a brand new drawing. And what's unique about this is I'm going to start with my own custom template. When I bring this template in, it already has my styles. So out of the box, Civil 3D will not look like this. Part 2 is going to show you how to get your information and your features to look and do and get the same expectations that I'm going to show you here. All right. If you worked in land or map in the past, the first thing you did is you opened up the program, you saw the tool space over on the left-hand side, and the first thing you did was close that. Everything we do now through Civil 3D is going to be using or utilizing this tool space. Any new information that I bring into the drawing, points, surfaces, alignments, roadway design, you're going to see it populate over here. If I want to change settings or styles, that's going to be under the Settings tab. So think about that as the information stored in the template. This is everything new that's going to come into this drawing. Depending on what version everybody is also coming from or moving to Civil 3D, there's a wide variety of users out there right now that are listening. So You understand if you're already on Civil 3D, hang in there for a little bit. We're going to progress to a little bit more, and hopefully you can enjoy the other 3 parts as well. What I want you to kind of point out is I bring information in here. I want you to notice the ribbon. Some of the older versions, we didn't have that. So up here at the top, or if you're going to Civil 3D and you feel lost, there's a little pull-down arrow right here, and you can simply go up here and say Show Menu Bar. This menu bar is identical to what you're used to using AutoCAD all the way back to AutoCAD 9. If I want to work with points, there's my points pull-down. No matter if it's DCA, Softdesk, Land, Desktop. If I want to work with surfaces, all this information is still in here. But what they found is it takes longer to go up there and look for these and remember where everything is compared to the ribbon. So at this point, I would suggest that you close this. Unless you have a deadline and you have to get something out, you go back to the pull-down menu because you know where it is. So I'm going to go ahead and hide that. It's up here at the top. You can kind of customize this. So a lot of people kind of not used to the ribbon yet, so I want to point out the features of that as we go. If you don't like the ribbon, and one of the reasons people don't like the ribbon is under the Home tab, if I go to Modify. Notice I have layers right here. If I go to Modify, I lose layers. Well, I utilize layers all the time. I constantly go back and forth between layers. So I don't want to go back to Home because that's an extra click. And when I learned AutoCAD 9, fewest amount of clicks makes me the most efficient. So simply take whatever you use most often out of any ribbon or any tab, right-click on that, and add to the Quick Access Toolbar. You'll notice by clicking that, that automatically moves you up here to the top. Now watch when I go to Modify, I can access my layers still up here and still be utilizing a different tab throughout the ribbon. Maybe I use Express Tools all the time. Maybe there's a certain command I like. Simply right-click on that and move that to the Quick Access Toolbar. It always stays to the top. You can move the Quick Access Toolbar above and below the ribbon as well if you'd rather have that down here. Another quick tip I'd like to provide everybody that's kind of new to Civil 3D is down here at the bottom. Notice I can read orthopolar, OSNAP, OTRAC, and the dynamic input that I pointed out. It allows you, as you're working, you kind of see what you see. What you get is what you see as you draw, right? Kind of like the heads-up display. So if you had a really nice car, they put the speedometer on your windshield, so you don't have to look down and see how fast you're going all the time. This is kind of the same idea. I'm going to point out how to utilize that with Civil 3D. But down here at the bottom, simply right-click on this, and it says Enable or Use Icons. If I go to Enable, right outside of the box, you can see that it's going to look better. So out of the box, it says Use Icons. I don't know about you guys, but I have enough to learn going to a new program or even a new version of the program that I didn't need to learn every single one of these all over again. And plus, it's not saving me any space. So until they give me a compelling reason to do that, I simply right-click on these. I go to click Use Icons, and it turns them all back to the way they were. Okay? Also with your O-snaps, simply right-click, and whichever ones are kind of depressed down, those are your running O-snaps, so you don't have to go to settings every single time. Okay? Hopefully that gave everybody a good variety, little things from beginners to getting used to the program, at least a small detail for everybody to move on here. Real quick, I just want to check the questions. So if there are surveyors online or anybody that have any questions, to make sure everybody's kind of staying in touch. So one of the questions that kind of helps us be a little more interactive, and if I answer a question, maybe you guys, as we get going, you will type more questions as well. So what if you have multiple surveyors that describe points differently? I guess what I'm afraid of having to spend hours of time checking the computer's line work instead of just drawing it manually. And what's nice about that, and that's a really good question, anything that you guys feel detrimental or is going to slow you down, that's a great question because it needs to be addressed. And we will spend a lot of time on it, but the answer to that is every time I bring in a field book or an ASCII file to generate that line work, I can pick a different user. So every surveyor could have their own custom coding. So I could go into this one, and as I look in this list, they use PCPT for their curves, and I used, you'll notice that I have BC and EC. So not only for line coding, but begin can be now numbers. You could use 0.1 or number 1, number 7. You could say instead of a space between line coding, I'll use a dot. everything's customizable now in Civil 3D compared to what it used to be utilizing only TDS with Land Desktop or prior software. So it really made it easy to migrate a lot of users from all sorts of different software, not just Autodesk and Land, but all sorts of different platforms can now move to Civil 3D. And the other one, of course, not just line work coding, but all sorts of other coding, is you do have description keys. And I'm going to talk about this. If there are surveyors on the line, I encourage you to stay on here a little bit longer. But these description keys will allow you to use any coding you want. And you can have multiple description codes, or keys, I guess. So you could set them up for different users or different municipalities as well. And it's a great idea. If you're a surveyor out there trying to get work from another firm, ask them for their template. And then you can just go in here, still use your coding, but make sure that it uses their format when you deliver. It works out really good. You get to continue using all of your coding in the field. They don't know any different when you send them that deliverable. All you have to do is ask them for this information. I would ask for the template, but at least a description key. Drag and drop that into your drawing or import it to XML, and you're good to go. So moving along a little bit here, instead of bringing it in through a field book or the ASCII file or generate line work, maybe you don't do line work. Maybe you still do it inside the drawing. If you're not doing line work, I encourage you to talk to one of the certified professionals here. I'd be more than willing, if you sat in this presentation, to help answer those questions if you call in as well. But I want to get you generating line work. It saves a lot of time in the field, and it removes a lot of guesswork. You don't have to wait for the surveyor to come back in and ask them questions. If you get it down right, it's a tremendous amount of time saving. Well, in this case, we're going to pretend that they didn't, or they didn't have to as an open field. For whatever, you simply want to bring in your information. And yes, survey wildcards are allowed. So you're going to notice here, and I'll try and elaborate on that question as it came in here, that yes, wildcards are suitable in here. And as I bring in trees, you're going to notice the trees will be sized. I can use different types of trees and different types of trees as well. I'll try and point that out. Now, when I bring in an ASCII file, if I want only the ASCII file, that's absolutely fine. But if you think about this current software you're utilizing, when you build a surface, what's that built off of? Well, it's built off the points that the surveyor went out in the field and collected. Hopefully they're all ground shots. If they're not, they're using a coding method that I know which ones to exclude. I don't want the boundary. I don't want maybe a setup point. I don't want any point that doesn't utilize an elevation, or I don't want any point that wasn't a ground shot. So I can say maybe a mailbox or maybe a tree. Hopefully I talked to the surveyor by now. They know that they have to be ground shots. But if they're not, I simply set up a point group, points that I utilize for my topo, and I tell it to exclude all the points the surveyor said that these aren't going to be ground shots. Every time I go out, I code this as junk, miscellaneous. Whatever those are, I tell it to exclude all the 999 points. Okay, when I build the surface, it brings in the point group topo, which are all the valid points. I'm still going to check it. It uses that, and it automatically builds that surface. So keep that in mind when you see this. I told it in my template to automatically build these point groups. I'm going to elaborate on these once I get points in here. I also told it that I'm going to build a surface, and every time I create a surface, it's going to be existing ground, and it's going to be built from the point group called topo. And in this topo point group, I already told it to exclude a certain number of points or include a certain number of descriptions to filter out the bad shots. So now all I have to do is simply import the points. There's several ways to do everything in Civil 3D, just like AutoCAD. I can right-click on points. I can go to the points pull-down, simply import the points, go to the ASCII file that I'm looking for. I'll have a little bit better luck finding that surveyor, that points folder this time. Let's try this one. There we go. So I'm simply going to bring in this ASCII file. I'd have a little better luck. All right, so I bring it in. All I have to do is select from the format, PNUZD. You see the descriptions there. As I go through here, you're going to notice there's some tree descriptions, there's some station descriptions, a little bit of everything in that list. The difference is I encourage everybody to add this to a point group automatically when you bring it in, maybe even the date that you bring it in, so you can simply say the first day, second day, third day, group all those points as you brought them in to kind of track that information. Again, feel free to ask questions. It looks like as you send them, it's going to bring a little pop-up screen. I don't have to go back and look at the chat window, so hopefully I can address them as they come in as well. So look what happened because I set the template up correctly. I brought in all the points. It used the point group, topo. It triangulated between those, and it used my description keys, all the styles that I built, and it used the EG surface. There's the existing ground surface. It used this point group to build that data for me. And I set up as a setting a default style. And again, we're going to get to these default styles in the next part. But here's the contours 5 and 25 background. Okay, I can go in and I can say, you know what, this was supposed to be a tin surface. So I just select that, and it automatically changes it. I don't have to go up, import 3D lines. I don't have to know the entire program to do this. I simply go over here and say, I only need to see the border. I need to see the limits of the surface. I already have the points in here. Or maybe I want to color it from highest to lowest elevation banding. I have all sorts of options in here, watershed. Maybe it was supposed to be design or contours and triangles. You just have to set these styles up. Again, it is a lot of work. If you're not familiar with the program or haven't did it before, we'll definitely help you with that, help you understand it. Hopefully the next session will help you with that as well. So I look forward to everybody joining us on that. Hopefully that kind of gives everybody an idea. I'm going to go ahead, I guess, and just change this to no display. I know the surface is there. I don't need to see it right now. I want to concentrate on the point, and I want to point out the style difference between, prior to this, if you use land or softness, whatever that was, all you had was the point number, elevation, description. And inside here, you got point number, elevation, description, and the colors. You have the stream. So what I want to show you is you have a variety of different things now. You have the different colors in here. You can set up and customize these however you want to. I can take a style, and I can drag this around, and I can display just the elevation and customize this. I didn't have to bring in different text, text. Everything I change here is going to automatically update on the fly. Again, I can see these are stream points because they're all blue. Stage survey points are all going to be white. As I go through here, you have trees, right? So you have different types of tree coding. So I did TRD, TRC, so D would be deciduous, right? So I told it to bring a different tree symbol. I have 3D trees in here. If I flip this to 3D, they actually have heights to them where they look like trees. Notice this is a 6-inch, this is a 24-inch. That was done with Wildcards. TRD space, the size of the tree, space, the type of the tree. So that's how these all vary. If it was maple, we would have brought in maple, depending on how they code it in the field. Excuse me. The question that just came in as well was saying, if I don't want to use those contours, because they probably worked with the program a little bit, they noticed that those are objects. Okay, if those are objects, you can simply select the surface. Let me go back to that real quick. Again, watch how easily this is done. I pick surfaces. This is the surface I want. I go in here, and we change this to the style that was reflecting, and now I have that surface. Watch how much data is available to me. If I select on this point, it automatically shows me Kogo point, what the number is, what the description is, the layer, and everything I need about that point. I don't have to go to list points. I don't have to go create a table. I don't have to print it. It's all right there without going to any other command. If I move over top of the surface anywhere, it automatically shows me the surface elevation. You don't have to go to inquiry. You don't have to escape out of it. You don't have to do anything. It just shows you all the information very quickly. The question was if you want to extract this. Well, to kind of show you that a little bit, I can also tie that in with how the ribbon and how you'll get used to working with this ribbon and how it's a big advantage to you. Watch when I select the surface. So right now it says Home tab. I pick the surface, and this goes for any object working with Civil 3D. It automatically switched my ribbon to tin surface, the name of the surface automatically. As you look through there, anything that I need for that surface is pretty much related, and it's going to show that in this. I don't have to right-click. I don't have to go through the surface pull-down looking for everything, and then it's tied here or there. It's right there available to me, especially for new users, right? They can't find it in there, or at least it condenses where they have to look. So the question was, if I want to send these contours to somebody else, maybe that doesn't use Civil 3D, how do I just make them user contours? I guess I think I read the question at. So in here, you simply go to Extract Objects, And that simply takes these and extracts them as polylines so you can use them in the other program. You don't want them as polylines in Civil 3D because it'd be like exploding them, and then it dumbs down the program. I want them as contours, and I'll show you. I want them as a surface object in here. I want to display that object with style. The reason for that is if they're contours, you don't get to do different things like this. So this is how you utilize the program a little bit. There's 289. We can tell there's a bad shot there. I can look at it in 3D as well, and we know there's a bad shot. So 289 and 598. Just to show you, I can look at this in 3D. I can have it automatically change styles, highest to lowest elevations when I go to 3D. So that's another component of using the object, the 2D and 3D interaction. Well, we know the surface is built on a point group. I simply go over here to the point group. This topo. I go to properties. I say exclude with numbers matching. I can simply type 289, 589. Surveyor said yes, they're bad points, don't use them. I could go back and edit the points. All I have to do also is just go in here and window. So I just look at the surface, looked at it in 3D. I know that this was a bad point. Simply window it, go down here, select this one. I press enter. It's going to exclude that from the point group. It automatically updated the point group, and look what happened here. The surface automatically updated. So I'm not sure if that's the question you want to make in polyline. I'm encouraging you not to do it because you lose these benefits. Everything's dynamic. What you see in your drawing, your design, goes out to print. You don't have mistakes going back and forth. Oh, I edited that point, but I forgot to update the contours. I changed that manhole number, but it went out wrong. At that, 30% submittal. Notice that they're both fixed now. Any points that you want to modify as well, let's say we want to fix the stream point. Simply select it, go over here to properties, and it's all right here in front of us to edit. There's the description, right? So I can edit that. I go down here, you have the elevation. I can type in the new elevations. It has locations in northern and eastern. The downside is if you don't put it into a survey database, then I can move the point. It's only associated in this drawing. So keep that in mind. These can be moved. That's not what you want, right? We don't want to move these points. So we can lock the points, we can lock the layers, or put them in the survey database so users can't do that. I missed that last question there real quick as I was talking, trying to do two things at once here. So one of the questions was, how do you change the surface contours into traditional? So we said extract them. Could you please give us a 3D view so we can see the trees? Yeah, I think I can show you the trees. Let's make sure I set them up correctly. I know they're 3D trees. I don't know if I have them displayed. Remember how you can set styles for 2D and 3D? I don't know if I did that. We'll take a quick look for you. Looks like they are all set. There you go. So a real quick look at least for you. I don't know why they're showing up white. I'd have to go over here and change my style. You can add real materials to the surface. You can change how it's going to be displayed. So I would just have to double check the information there for you. But normally they show up there, you go nice and green. I can show a grass material. And that kind of takes it to the next level. But hopefully you kind of get the idea there in a real quick on-the-fly type of setting. These trees are part of the program. Go over to your properties. Go to your tool palettes. I think it's Control 2 or Control 3. All the way in the top left, you can turn on your tool palette. And over here is a list. And you can simply look in this list. If you right-click, I guess you have to turn them all on. But one of them is for landscaping. If you go to 3D Make, I believe. Send me an email if I'm wrong. But 3D Make, I believe, is the one it is. There's also multi-view blocks. So all the blocks are already in there if you want to use the 3D trees. You just have to kind of look for them a little bit. And this is the button to get you to the tool palette. All right, so hopefully everybody got an idea a little bit about that. One of the other things, and I got to keep moving here because I promised roadway and a couple other things. I know we got a little bit of a late start, so we'll try and go over a little bit. But I want to make sure if everybody has to get out of here that they have time to do that as well. So what I want to point out in the Prospector, everything is controlled out of the box through your description keys. You notice I set those up so the surveyor types in what they do in the field, converts it to the full description when it comes into the software. Description keys are the hierarchy. So no matter what, when the points come in, they will read everything that I set up through this description key file. Once I have that set up, I might want to override what it looks like here. in order to override my information to display the points differently, I put information into point groups. Point groups just help you organize it all. Like you can see there, I want all my trees, I want all my break lines, or edge of pavement, or center line. Utilities would be a good one. I want all my storm sewer, water main valves, sanitary. I just want to see the utilities. So I encourage you to go in here. As soon as you build it, you bring in all your ASCII files, go in and make a new point group called No Display. Right-click New, give it a name. Make sure the point style by default is none, and the point label style is set to none. One other feature that you must set is under Override, and you have to make sure you check Style and Point Label Style. The point style is the symbol. The label style is the text next to it. Hopefully we'll elaborate that on the next section as well. As long as you do this, it overrides the description key file. So now you have full control over all the points in that point group. As the points come in, they go to the point group, and what they simply do is find the first point group that is looking for them. So I've dropped all these points in. As the ASCII file comes in, it goes, oh, there's trees. So any trees go to that point group, then streams, and control, and topo. Well, they can go to duplicate point groups, but the higher one is what displays what it looks like. So what I want to do is simply take the No Display, move this to the top, and now you can see the No Display, all the points went in there. What did I do with the No Display that I forgot to point out? Make sure you include all points. So every single point came into the ASCII file, found the first point group, and it told it to turn them all off. This is a huge advantage working with Civil 3D, because you can simply now tell it, I want to see trees only. We'll move trees above No Display, and only the trees show up. Now maybe we create, in a matter of seconds, you go over here and you create a point table, right? Create a annotation. We go to labels, or maybe, you know what, let's create it. Let's do it real quick. You go to tables, add a point table, PNEVD format, or maybe I have one saved in here. It's a style as part of my template, and I say I want to use a point group trees. And I simply create that, right? Point number, elevation, description, and it shows the tree. It looks like I got it set for raw description instead of full. If I erase a tree or lose a tree in that point group, this automatically updates. All the tables, annotation, text drafting, all update automatically, just like your volumes will. Hopefully you got an idea of that. Another good one that I also like to use, if you move No Display back to the top, tell it to use point styles only. So hide the labels, or take the label styles and set those to none. Move markers above No Display. Now it simply turns all the labels off so I can clearly see what I need to work with. And the last one I'll show you before we turn on, or turn everything back here, I'm going to move No Display to the bottom, and this one to the bottom. Everything comes back on. Save it. Yep. This to the bottom. This to the bottom. Everything comes back. The other feature that I don't know why it goes so undiscovered, but whatever your drawing scale is down here, you simply change it. I'm going to change this to 1 to 10. All of the points automatically scale, so now I can go in, and if they're right on top of each other, I just zoom in and change them and start drawing node to node to node. I go back out here, and it simply updates. Okay, so that's also a really cool feature to make sure that you guys utilize. Even if you just have a trial, let me know. We'll send you a 30-day trial. If it's on subscription, get it off the shelf. Put it, at least get it loaded. Get an ASCII file. I'll send you this one if you want, and you can kind of practice with this. But at least so you know the functionality is there and you know how to use it. We kind of move on. We got to get to roadway. I want to show break lines and some different things. We're going to have to elaborate that maybe next time or in a future event. Please feel free to send new topics today as well. Anything for training purposes. Maybe you want to look at just corridors, just road design, just storm sewer, grading. Let us know, and we're going to try and send out a lot more complimentary training. As long as we know what everybody's looking for. We'll simply create an alignment. I don't have time to go into all the details in 90 minutes. Typically I would just go in here and I tell it that I'm going to create an avenue, or I name this, whatever the name is. It's a center line. It groups all of your alignments. I have a site. I have styles, just like I did for the surface. what color do I want it, what line types, do I want arrows pointing in the direction that's going, do I want labels, do I want layers. All of that is all pre-assigned. I can tell it to default different stationing. As we create this, we can do just lines. I can draw a polyline, I can convert a polyline. I can just draw lines and circles and convert those. I can use special lines and arcs to go in here and develop the information, any way that we want to. We're just going to quickly do tangent and curve. And you can see I have a default setting in there for the alignment. Also note it automatically did all the stationing. My company designed everything automatically parallel. You can do perpendicular. You notice how all of it automatically updates. Okay? Again, notice when I select the alignment. I'm under the Home tab, go to the alignment, and notice how it automatically switches to the alignment tab. Everything automatically updates. If we want to make edits or changes, well, guess where it is? Right there under that ribbon. So they're letting us focus right where we need to go. There's Geometry Editor. You can still go back in and do all of your edits. Right here, there's your curve, your radiuses. You can change exactly what you want. We can go in and we can isolate it and say, I want to work with just this curve. Highlight that shows me the one that I'm on, and I can simply type in new radius. Okay? There's all sorts of ways to customize this. Maybe it's conceptual design, and it doesn't have to be perfect, or maybe I'm just trying to get it close, and I change that, and then I go back and I define this, and I update that through the editor to get it more precise, to make it to the nearest station or exactly closest foot. There's my alignment. I simply want to create a profile. So we keep moving. There's the alignment I want to use, what surface. I want to sample from the existing ground. I think the biggest thing I hope that everybody's getting from this is my settings and my styles are all set up. I simply tell it to draw it in the profile. I can sample the offset. I can tell it -12, add 12, left, right. You can do as many as you want to. I can say 33 feet, 24 feet. We can sample that. I draw in profile view. We can tell it to automatically do profile offsets left and right. I'm going to turn that off just to kind of move through here a little bit quicker. We can tell it to do elevation ranges as well. So if there's a certain elevation, a cutoff point, it automatically sample that and draw that in multiple views. If I do this for you, I think it kind of breaks that up for you to understand. You don't have to go through the wizard. I'm just kind of showing you that it does walk you through everything. I tell it that I want to display the information. I can hash all the cut and fill if I have multiple surfaces from this profile, which is very handy. Create the profile. What I want to point out is we now have the ability to move the profile anywhere that you want to. If you don't like the way mine looks, keep in mind that this is just one style. You can change the band, the elevation, the station, the elevation. At least we have elevations on both sides. You can turn the stationing on and off on a no plot layer if you want to. Now, notice when I went to alignment, I got the alignment toolbar. Well, same thing when you go to profiles. I want to design the new profile. It's just asking me in the command line, profile view. Well, I want to do it in this profile view. I can name it. What's the style? Colors, line type again, right? What labels do I want to put on it? Do I want to label the curve? Do I want the grade labeled? All of that's going to come in, and it's all dynamic. I have design criteria for AASHTO. We can edit. We can make our own standards if we want to. We can do our own design checks. Every 1,000 feet, give me, I guess, a Ghostbuster sign and flag it that it's not meeting those standards, so I have to go back and fix those things. Same pull down, change the curve settings. Pretty much identical to the alignment toolbar. So once you get the hang of this, it's real easy. It's just a matter of going and getting used to a little bit different user interface. I can either type in kind of randomly where I want to go to get an idea. I can also type in the exact, let me move this real quick. You guys go down to the bottom right. I can type in profile station elevation. If I do apostrophe PSE, I can put it at exact locations. For saving time, we're just going to draw this in. Just like the horizontal alignment, we can go back. Maybe this is just quick conceptual design. Like we did in the past, you simply select it, watch the ribbon at the top, you get the idea, everything automatically updates. There's your geometry editor. We can tie it into exact curve, elevations. We can simply watch the radius, 150. I can go in here and move this up and down. You'll see that didn't change. All I did was change the elevation, right? Okay. The other ones, maybe I just want to hold this grade, but we want to change it. Notice it's going to lock that on there as well. So you can simply drag this around, hold minimum and maximum grade, and this goes in as well. If I want to change the radius, I simply select this one. It changes the radius. I go back in the editor, I put in the exact one, or I set it to only go to 5-foot increments. Also note, remember the DYN tab at the bottom that I pointed out? Simply hit tab. I can type in the elevation. I want the curve, the PVI elevation to be exactly 800. I simply type in 800. If I hit tab, I can put it to an exact, let's do it. I want it to be exactly 2950. Okay, you guys saw what I typed in. Let's go back. PVI station 2950, elevation 800. Hardly took me any time at all. I got exactly where I wanted to, and didn't even know the software very much. Just go to DYN. I had to learn to hit tab between the grids. I put it exactly where I wanted to. Okay. Any changes that we make, right, to the horizontal alignment, the profile would automatically update. So if I drag this over to the left, the profile of the existing ground automatically updates. The vertical still holds your design criteria, so you just have to simply go back and update that, tie that back in, or just simply put the alignment back where it was, and the profile automatically updates. So now with that step, and I kind of apologize, I talked a little bit too much on the point side or kind of getting your interface side, but I want this to kind of appeal to everybody. And as we move forward, I'll go a little bit faster here to get a little bit more information in. But at the same time, this is going to be recorded, and we're going to post this on our website, so you have access to this a little bit later on as well. I'm going to go back to the tool palette that we talked about a little bit earlier. I can change the tabs. One of the tabs that you want to look for in the newer version of Civil 3D is the assembly. It automatically comes with pre-built typical sections. You can build every one of these from a single component and add each one of these as well. It automatically comes with intersections, daylighting, your curb return fillets, even roundabouts are automatically built in here if you look down here at the bottom. You simply take what you're looking for, divided highway. I'm going to do a simple one, primary road, full section. I click on it. I can set parameters, drag it out wherever I want to place it. I'm going to zoom in. This is my typical section. The arrows are simple pivot points. If we're trying to send out in the future here, some of the Autodesk university classes that I've done, it's going to show you how to change all of the materials in here, how to add the components, how all this ties together as well, and how to do specifically driveways, how to do sidewalks, how to do intersections. All the style everything kind of built into those. And it's a good future class as well. All we have to do to design a road, if you guys know, tie in the alignment, the finished ground profile, and that simple assembly. And that's called a corridor. Corridor is a 3D road output model of your design. I'm going to click to create the corridor. I name the corridor, the layer, the style, like every other component we've done in here. And it prompts you for the baseline alignment. Okay, there's my alignment, or I manually go select it. What profile do I want to use? You can go select it, or just select it out of the list. What assembly do I want? Okay, maybe there's multiple assemblies, and we can do transitions. So keep in mind, if I'm coming up to an intersection, I wouldn't want it to daylight left and right. I have to swap it out with a different assembly, and those are called regions. At this point, we're going to keep it simple. I want it to daylight to existing ground. I can also transition. So if I have lane left and lane right, I simply tell it to follow this alignment or go out 12 feet. It'll automatically follow that lane. You can use the intersection wizard to put that left turn lane in. We have offset alignments that we can build, and it will either follow the grade or the profile design if I assign it here. Is anybody currently using roadway design transitions in any software besides Civil 3D? If you get a chance to put that in the chat window, just curious and to make sure everybody's still awake since I'm doing all the talking here. So to kind of point out the road design, if you can see that I have these styles set up so it automatically does the cut and fill. As you move this vertical alignment up and down, well, that's going to change the road design, of course, right? So if I go over here and I look at the corridor, this is what I built. Remember, anything new is in the Prospector. The settings is all the styles and why, the different colors and line types and why the shows cut and fill. I can set this to automatically update, or when I'm ready. If I have 8 miles of road, I don't want it to always be rebuilding. So I just tell it to rebuild, and it automatically updates. And watch the cut and fill on that PVI point. You can see now there's a lot more cut. I can simply get volumes at this point. I can have a table over to the left and right, and it's all going to automatically update. If I move this up and down again, you can see all the labels, all the grades, everything in this vertical alignment just updated. The roadway shows me it's out of date, and I simply rebuild it. Okay. Again, if anybody has any specific questions at this point, make sure you get those in there. I can create cross-sections. I have to sample it, create cross-sections. Then anytime I move the horizontal alignment, everything automatically updates. If I change the vertical, even down to the cross-sections, everything updates. The volume calculations, the cut and fill in every station, everything's going to automatically update at this point. We can go in here, and I can now change the style, and it would show a rendered roadway. So I just change it to visualization style. I would have paved roads, concrete curbs, grass is the daylight cut and fill, and we've cut the, you can even run an animation through there. And if you get a chance, hopefully I can give you a link to some of my Autodesk University classes to spend more time on that, or we'll try and do that in the future as well. Any corridor, you simply go over here, and you have a section editor. Sorry about the labels. I can change those labels out. It looks like they're set to the wrong scale. Or if I just change my drawing scale, you can see that those are reflecting that. We can progress to any station that we want to. We can make edits in here. We can change any of the information as I go at any one of these stations. If there is no daylight, as we go through. And keep in mind there's parameter editors here to show everything that's going on, and we can edit all of the information manually at each section as well. So hopefully that gives everybody a wide variety of what's in Civil 3D as far as from the survey side. We touched on some different things. We talked about bringing in topo, building a surface, points, point groups, as well as the roadway design portion. We went, we started 10 minutes late, so let's jump over to the storm sewer, utilities, and show you kind of what to look forward with that. Is there any questions on the roadway design before we move forward? Okay. And again, you can email me those questions later on. Is everybody survey-oriented? Make sure you put your questions in there. We'll try and spend time and go back to survey or spend more time on that. If there's something particular you want to look at, make sure you get those to me. The more I receive, the more it's going to point me in one direction or the other. So this is just a simple site that I brought in. Okay, so it has contours, existing topo. I simply drew an alignment in here, and I have a profile created from that existing ground surface. I turn the surface to no display. Make sure anytime, as soon as you open a National CAD standard or anything out of the box, you want to make sure you go to your settings, and you want to go down through here, and you want to look for your pipe network. And what you're going to have to generate is a parts list. You can simply go create part list. You name it, so this could be storm sewer or your company name if you want to. I suggest making one for storm, sanitary, and then water as well. So let's say we just call this storm. Always put the initials of your company before or after it. And that's for every file in here, because if your drawing ever goes to somebody else and comes back, how would you know which one yours are? So maybe I do SS for Sterling Systems. This is the parts list for pipes. I add a part family. These are all parametric 3D modeled objects that are already going to come in. So I go to 3D, these objects are going to show up the correct size and shape. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with CMP. We can add as many of these as we want to. Once they're in here, I can right-click and add the different sizes. So now I want to start with a 12-inch diameter pipe size. I can add each one. I could even say add all sizes if I want to, but then I'd have to remove all the ones I don't want. So we're going to go in and just say, yep, this is supposed to be a 12-inch pipe. We'll go ahead and just add an 18 just to give you an idea. So this is a custom library. I create styles for each type of pipe. Do I want double lines or single lines? As I create the pipe, whatever size it is, it's going to display that, intelligent, no, and update. Rules are going to tell me minimum slopes, minimum distances, minimum maximum cover, your depth. And then we can have a render material. So I can go in here and tell it that this is supposed to be concrete cast in place. So when we look at it in 3D, it shows up that way. You can even attach pay items. Quantity takeoffs are automatically associated with roadway design in all of your pipes. So in this case, I'll have the length of pipe, I'll have the total number of storm sewer, how much each manhole counts for, or what it costs. We can use custom ones. We can also get the information from the DOTs. You're going to do the same thing for structures. You can use a null structure for water mains. You can pick the different end sections. I'm just going to pick a quick one here. As we add that again, you go add your part sizes. So we have in here a structure diameter, 48. I'm just going to add that. You can rename these, so 4-foot diameter manhole. Right? So different styles. How do I want it to look in profile view? How do I want it to look in plan? And again, you just keep adding that information. So hopefully that gives everybody an idea how to get started. I did that already in my template, gave us something to work from, and I just wanted to point that out to get you started now. So when you go through these steps, why yours looks a certain way, why yours might vary from mine, and that's the information in the background under the settings tab. Again, if you know that you have to create these for your company, which more than likely you do, at least contact us. Let us give you a strategy to get moving forward, give you some ideas. I cannot count how many times I've had to set this up for companies. I know where everything is. We have a whole team of people that builds all the content in the background. Sometimes I do it myself. I approve it all. So if you want to do it yourself, at least let me give you ideas and point you in the right direction, give you confidence that you know you're started on the right path and everything's getting assigned to the right layers as well. So inside here, we simply go to start the pipe network. Did you also notice, hopefully there when I paused, that if I had a polyline already drawn, you pick the polyline, lines, arcs, whatever it is, it would automatically define it from that as well. I'm just doing everything on the fly. My part list, right? I want to pick all of the ones that have my structures. I want to pick the ones that have my pipes. What layers are they going to go on? A lot of questions how to set this up, but once it's set up, you just run with the product. It will automatically add all of your structure labels, pipe labels as you go. I'm going to do it after the fact. And we're going to try and wrap all this up in the next 5 minutes, and then we're going to open it up for questions and answers. See if anybody has questions and kind of finish up with a few slides as well with our upcoming training to offer that to everybody. So all I do is tell it in here what size structure, type of structure that I want to use. I tell the size of pipe that I want to use. All of that came from the parts library, right? Simple. Everybody's got that. What do I want to draw? Pipes and structures, pipes only, structures only. So almost identical to the alignment toolbar and the profile toolbar. The only difference is it said curves or tangents only, and it was over here. Now, what direction is it going as I draw it? I go down here. I can turn ortho on if we want to, and simply start the structure. I drag these as I draw them. Typically, I do a runoff structure here out into the pond, but to keep it going a little quicker, I'm just going to go ahead and stop this. One of the other things I could do is at any time, as you're drawing this, change the pipe size. And I'll do that as well. I could go to an 18-inch or 24-inch as I drew it. And you can also do it with alignments and changing your curve settings. So it's pretty flexible on the fly, or you can do it after the fact. So I just simply went in there and changed that, or I'm sorry, drew that. Watch the ribbon. If I pick it, it automatically goes to the pipe network. So you can see it's very simple to get used to this program. If we want to change the pipe sizes, all the information is listed over here as well. I can also just click it, go to pipe properties, look in the list here under part properties. I could change this. There's a list of all the ones I put in there. I want to change it to an 18, and I can change the structure to a different size simply by swapping the part out. I don't have much in here, so I guess we're going to go to the 72-inch pipe, or I'm sorry, structure, and you can also have different styles. for different types of structures. But notice the difference. They can represent the size, and there's the different pipe sizes as well. Hopefully get the idea of the flexibility is all I'm trying to share with you guys. And the idea that you can also go to the Modify tab or pick the pipe and then have it draw this automatically. So I'm going to modify the pipe network, which means I'm going to put this in my profile. Draw in profile view, what do I want to draw? I want to draw the entire network, and I want to place it into here. Just like that, it uses default rules that I assign for minimum and maximum cover. I can go back and edit those. I can change the drop and the invert. I have a floor currently assigned, so this is the outside of the casting. That's why you see the drop is not a sump. You can change that to 0 if you don't like that. You can see the difference in the pipe sizes. If I go to annotate the pipe, we can, I like this dialog box because I can tell it to select anything. I don't have to use default. I want to place all the labels in plan view. Okay. Automatically shows manhole number, whatever my default one was that I used last. It kept track of that for me. The size, right? There's 12, 18, and the structure. And I have a mask around it automatically if you prefer that or not. You can also drag these out. I'm not sure if I set up a leader for this one or not. I don't remember. Nope, but you can set a leader and point into that if you want to, whatever your preference is for your company. I also want to do this in profile view. We're going to add this as well. You can see all the labels come in. Again, unfortunately, this is my customized template. You have to do this for your company. So manhole number, rim station. I even have the direction of the invert, the way that they're going from plan view. If I change that up above in plan, you'll see that change here. The distance, the size of the pipe, and the slope, of course. What I like is you can vary all this. So if I pick this structure, right, east, so I pick the pipe 177.53, I can simply select this invert, and I can type in a new one. So if the DYN is on, just like we did for the profiles, it's very similar with the pipes. Let's type 771. You can see, once I did that, the new slope, right, and we're, I believe, all 1%, 771 invert going out. This is where it's very critical from plan, what you're designing, to your documentation. How much time do you spend looking at these numbers, marking them up, making sure that they got put in there, make sure they got changed correctly, and then going back and double checking them again, and there's still always something that didn't get changed. Simple manhole number, oh, it'll be 20A, that's what will be 20B. They don't even match in plan and profile view. So now they're all going to update as you make these changes on the fly. A couple other just real quick simple things I kind of want to point out. If we do select this and we want to edit, it's very simple, just like you do alignments or anything else. You go back to the toolbar. I tell it that I want to go ahead and redraw that pipe. Let's simply add a catch basin, because I know you guys are dying to ask this question. If we can do this. I'll use a catch basin 12-inch pipe. I can also tell it to reverse the flow instead of upstream to downstream, and we can draw it the other way. Or I can go ahead and just leave it. Let's say we put a catch basin here, drag this. Notice the grip. That grip means it's going to automatically connect to that structure. As long as you have that, you know that you connected it to that network. And when you look down here, it automatically added the southwest invert. And look down here, automatically put that in there as well. So hopefully, what I've tried to show today is how to get started, right, with the user interface. We use the tool space on the left. Hopefully you feel a little more comfortable with the ribbon, or at least you're starting to see the advantages of why you want to use the ribbon, why you're going to make that initial change, and then get used to it. We talked about the DYN at the bottom, how to change the OS maps. We brought in a fieldbook file. All it was an ASCII file with some different line coding. We customized all that. We can do double coding. The line was generated. You can have that in a survey database, so isolated that no one else can edit that. You can convert it to your engineering. You can have engineering work on an X reference of that. You can bring in an ASCII file. We use description keys, point groups with styles customized correctly for it to display. We build surfaces almost like we did before in Land Desktop. The only difference is it's a panel over here in the tool space now, and you make sure you roll out every plus sign as you go to do this. One mistake I see a lot of users do is they create the surface, and then they're like, where's the contours? You have to make sure after you create the surface, right? If I go create surface, and I name this, let's say existing ground 1. All that does is name it. Civil 3D pretty much does everything for you, but there's still little things that we have to keep an eye on. So I made the surface, but there's no data in that, right? We have to add what we want it to triangulate from. So make sure you use these plus signs. Go add what you're creating the surface from. Whether it's contours, it's a point group, other drawing objects, an XML file, DEM file. We have a lot of variety, but you have to make sure you add that data. As soon as you add that, the contours show up. You pick it and you start changing the different styles on how you want it to appear, and you can vary those styles as I did. All right, we picked it, we looked at the ribbon. We get a lot of information also from the drawing just by moving the cursor over it. What manhole number, what size, there's a lot of different information advantages just by giving it to you basically without you even have to do anything. Creating the surface, we went to the alignments. You notice the points toolbar. You had alignment toolbar, profile toolbar. We had a pipes toolbar. You see how everything's isolated to those different things. So I think between today's webcast, this introduction to give you an idea of what you want to look forward to, part 2 is going to then show you how to do the settings of styles, all the background information, at least leverage you to get started. I believe part 3 is converting that data. So what that's going to do is, I want to bring a project over from a different platform. We're going to show you how to do that. We're going to try to show you how to do point cloud information. So if you do scanning, how do I work with that? How do I work with LiDAR data? Convert that data back and forth and how it can utilize that information. And lastly, the last one is for all the advanced users. They hopefully got something out of this today, but the top 10 things that I believe you're using and maybe struggling with every day and how they've been resolved. And also check out my blog for that. I call them SLU-arounds, solutions for workarounds that weren't made obvious as well. And we kind of wrap things up here a little bit. I didn't get to the drafting portion of it. I just want to show you how you rotate the drawing and they automatically updated. If we went back and changed or rotated or scaled it, you saw that with the points. So keep that in mind. And other than that, I guess we covered everything else. And these are some of the things, business issues resolved with Civil 3D. We talked about design changes, collaborative design, styles. The next WebEx is going to standardize company standards utilizing those styles. You can see how integrated the design and drafting, annotation. Understand that this is a BIM deliverable. So if anybody has any questions about BIM, let us know as well. And everybody knows with engineering, changes are inevitable. They're always going to be there. This is how we handle them. And I'm going to roll this back over to Dave Press. And I want to thank everybody for attending and look forward for the feedback and suggestions in the future. Thanks.
Thank you, Chad, and thank you guys again for coming. As Chad mentioned, we will be also sending out an evaluation to just email you that. If you could just take a second, just maybe 5 or 6 questions. Our goal with these meetings these trainings, obviously, to be informative, make it valuable, make your time valuable. And so if you have any topics on there or anything that we could help improve these, we would really, really appreciate you filling out the evaluation form and getting those back to us. As Jim mentioned here, we have a really exciting event coming up on February 16th with Lynn Allen. For those of you that are not familiar with Lynn Allen, Lynn actually speaks to over 30,000 users a year, AutoCAD users a year. She's written 3 books on AutoCAD. She's also written an article called Circles and Lines for the Catalyst magazine for the last 16 years. And she's one of the highest sought-after speakers that Autodesk has. We are very, very fortunate to have Lynn Allen stop here in Scottsdale on February 16th for a free event. We hope you guys can attend that, maybe pass the information along to others. Spacing, I guess, is somewhat limited, but we should have enough room for everybody if you're interested in attending. Again, there's no charge for this. So we'll also have some breakout sections and make it a pretty nice event for you guys. So please join us for that. And I believe that's it. So if you, oh no, we have one more. As far as the support, I want to just kind of throw this in. We do get a lot of questions about the support and our different options I want to throw it in. We basically, our support solutions are pretty easy. For if you renew your subscription with us, if you buy product from us, we include 1 year of phone and email support. That'd be either, again, phone, or we can basically do virtual on-site support where we can take over your computer and help you out that way. And this is with our certified Autodesk professional team. And that's, again, that's free with any support, any purchase, again, subscription renewal or new product. So we hope you take advantage of that and give us an opportunity. And we hope to see you over the next couple seminars. And thanks again. Appreciate your time.
Feel free, if you guys have any questions at this time, we're going to go ahead and unmute everybody as well. If anybody's has any questions, next few minutes.
You draw the mic.
Sorry about that, guys. It looks like as soon as we unmute you, I'm having troubles understanding. It's echoing real bad. So if you go ahead and try your question again real quick, and let's see if it comes through. If not, we'll have to have you type it in. Anybody have a quick question?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Ryan, no problem.
We're just curious on one of the future displays that you guys could do, like site development projects. Are there that you could fill in between with pavement sections? Basically, kind of how you would build a site design in Civil 3D.
How do you build site design? So I lost part of that. For site design, what are you talking about for the pavement section? Like for roadway design, or how you would do pavement, like a Walmart or a Burger King or something like that, site design?
Well, yeah, exactly. That would be a good example. But like for the curbs, is there a style for different types of curbs that you can draw a line that defines your curbs for you, and then you can quantify them?
Yeah, you absolutely could. And what they do, I'm trying to think if I have any videos on that or ideas. But basically, let's say you have a parking lot design, and you know how I did the corridor, and I designed the road with that assembly?
Right.
All you do is create an assembly, take your curb and gutter from the tool palette, drag and drop it onto there, and then take an alignment and create a profile around the outside of that site. And then the curb is attached to that assembly, so it will go all the way around. That will give you your quantities for that curb and gutter, and you can use that to build your surface or incorporate that into the rest of the site to build that surface, and you can even daylight off of that if you wanted to.
But then, okay, that would be the perimeter. What about the interior islands and other curbings that's going on?
The islands are a little bit different. What I use is what's called feature lines. And I think I'm still sharing my screen. Are you still on?
Yes.
All right, I can give you, I don't have a, I mean, I think that's a good idea to do a 90-minute one on site design. I think that's a great idea now that you brought that up.
That would be perfect.
Okay, and let's, you know, these have to be pre-scheduled and blah, 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 but to get you started in the right direction, let's say I draw a line. Let me just try and get something real, we'll do this, right? I just need something to say this is an island.
Okay.
Then what you want to do is you want to create a feature line from those objects.
Right.
Feature lines are really smart polylines, right? In Civil 3D, you're going to assign elevations. When you assign elevations, it actually goes right up to the surface for you automatically. Or you can assign elevations manually. So once it's a feature line, it's a much smarter object, and you can edit all of the elevations. I made the one thing, make sure it's a polyline first, then make it a feature line so it's all tied together.
Right.
So go to edit geometry, and then I want you to try, edit geometry, edit elevations.
Right.
When you do site design, use this icon. There's a little blue triangle after you pick edit elevation. It allows you to pick an elevation for your site design around the whole outside or every curb on it. You assign a starting elevation. You can say down 2%, up 2%, down 2%, up 2%. You don't have to type every elevation individually. So those are really the easiest way to honestly do the curb island. You move it up to the existing site and then put in the elevation. So the feature line,
how would you apply
your surface.
How would you apply a curb element to that feature island for your quantities?
Oh, the quantity's a little bit different. That's probably another, maybe I'll tie that into the site design when we do. if you go to Analysis tab, you can go to Quantity Manager, and there's a takeoff, and you can literally select the curve islands, and then you apply that to each one of those and what those quantities are.
So what's the difference between what you just showed here and running a alignment all the way around the perimeter curve?
Unfortunately, they're quite a bit different. This would not quantify the curve for you. What this would do is say this is the length of it, and you'd have to say, you would have to make a quantity takeoff that says, I picked a polyline, it represents this much curve, and whatever that length is, use that. The other one automatically is an object, and it knows what that is and pulls the quantity from that object automatically. You would have to kind of say that this is a certain type of curve.
So in order to see, if I ran my alignment around the perimeter with curving, and then the islands in the middle, I would have to define my pavement grade, and then have that line copied up 6 inches above it to define my actual curve height, correct?
Yeah, what we would do is take this, and you'd have to use, when you pick these, this would all be one polyline, but you would go in here and you can say,
you just offset it.
Yep.
Right, I've done this before.
Yep, yep. And
Okay.
I'll let you know a little secret. It's kind of tedious. So after you make those changes, if you edit that, you have to re-offset them all, right?
Right.
The little secret is we're coming out with something called Sterling Rewards.
What was that?
We have something coming out called Sterling Rewards, and it's hopefully going to be the next month or so here. And what if you ever edit that, it automatically updates all the other ones associated.
Oh, wow.
For site design, we're hoping once I get that tool finished, then we're going to be able to do the WebEx and we'll show that to everybody.
Now, is that going to be a another style, or what is it actually? What is it going to be?
It's a custom command. It's a DD command.
Oh. Is that going to be something we could purchase, or is it going to be?
Our goal is that you do subscription with Sterling, and that's going to be one of the rewards that we give you in there, along with probably 9 to 10 other whatever commands, custom commands to help you guys work more efficiently with the product.
And it's called Sterling Rewards, huh?
Yep. Yep. You have a little pull-down menu that's just going to be Sterling Rewards, and then you're going to select those commands. And our goal is February 16th is the Lynn Allen event. We're going to have breakout sessions. One of them is going to be Civil 3D. We're going to release it then, and then if you make that event, we're going to roll those out at that time.
Excellent. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. Look forward to hopefully there. And Ryan, feel free.
A presentation on site design would be very, very helpful.
Okay, absolutely. We can add that, and if you want, we also do online training. So if it's something you wanted immediately, or you want it custom to one of your jobs specifically, I'd be more than happy. We set up like maybe 2 hours or maybe a half a day. We can do WebEx, or we can come out on site if you guys would be interested in the future. Feel free to give me a call afterwards if you have any questions on this stuff as well, and we can move forward with it.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks. Any other quick questions there before we exit? Sorry that one took a little bit longer, but hopefully it helped everybody out a little bit. Any other questions? Okay, well, feel free, email those to me. Hopefully you got that. I'll put that back up there real quick. Feel free to email myself if you have any technical questions, and if you have any subscription questions or product questions, please contact Dave Press, and feel free to call in as well at any time.
You have that.
And one of the other ones, sorry, Kristen, I just saw it flashing here. Can you show how to calculate cut volumes for basins or pits? We can, unfortunately, I just didn't include that today. Give me a call if you don't mind. I can demonstrate that for you. Maybe we can do a WebEx afterwards or something like that. Maybe not today, but we can set something up in the future to kind of show you that if that's something you do every day. And that'll be a future topic as well. Feel free to give me a call. We'll get that set up, though. You can use that number under the Dave Press, or call Dave Press, and we'll get it set up for you as well. So we're running a little bit late on that. Bases are just like, they're called grading objects. You use feature lines, and you build 2 surfaces if you want, and you can simply do cut and fill volumes. I planned on showing that with my roadway design. It just didn't work out, so I apologize for that. Any other questions before we let everybody go? All right, well, I want to thank everybody one last time and appreciate the attendance and the questions and the feedback. Everybody have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's going on with Chris and getting 12 on our machine?
Called him this morning and I